And all right. Hi, Mistress Claudia. Welcome to
Hi.
YKF Weekends. Who else do we have? We have Anna Valentina here. It's YKF Weekends. Oh, guess what? Guess what? So it's I gotta do a timestamp. There was a big mix up. It's 1:44, 1 hour and 44 minutes in, and guess what? Guess what time it is? We do things live and wild here too. Oh, and it is 7 o'clock, so we're ready to go.
All right.
Yes, it's
Can you hear
YKF
me?
Weekends. I can hear you.
Good. 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 Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
For a second, I was freaking out on the time. I was like, "Oh my God, am I late?" Blah blah. I have final exams right now, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nicholas Tannick. This is YKF Weekends. Everything we talk about is between consensual adults. This is a lifestyle. It's a culture. We're consenting adults. I don't know, we're tax-paying citizens. We don't break the law. We like sex. We like kink. We like to express ourselves in a safe, sane, consensual manner. Don't judge. That's why you're seriously. Don't judge. That's why you're alone. That's why you're miserable. You piece of shit. Stop being a judgy asshole. Why are people so obsessed with their own assholes? Why are we, society, obsessed with our own buttholes? We are here with Anna Valentina, the Bussy Boss, and the legendary Mistress Claudia. Who knows? Maybe some friends, maybe some other
Claudia.
people will come arrive too. People are invited, but we are here. It's Anna Valentina, Mistress Claudia. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I'm sure it was confusing
My
because
pleasure.
I messed up. I was interviewing the magnificent Victoria Sway, and I gave her the wrong link.
Ah,
Straight up.
oh
So we
no.
did the whole show from this stream, which is cool, which is fine. Yeah, it happened.
You
What
know,
more than
I
that?
that's actually kind of good because I just came in at the last few minutes, just was watching and hear that she used to be in Oregon and now I've heard her name before. I may have even briefly crossed paths with her, something depending on when she was in Oregon or if she's ever been to DomCon, because I met so many people through DomCon. Um, but her name sounds familiar. I'm going to reach out to her because
You
what she's
should.
saying about connecting with more community. I think we can all get behind that. Um, I'm sure we have some mutual friends, so that would be really cool. And next time I'm in the New York area, I would love to connect with her. So um, you have impeccable taste in friends, Nick. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
I'm cool because of you. You know that. I'm cool
Oh,
because of all of you. I
so
appreciate.
humble.
I love all of you seriously, and
We
I
love
want
you.
to connect all. It's, like I was thinking of you when I was talking to her because your energy, the vibe, the fire, and the organ, too, and all that stuff. So let's talk about pegging. We're here with the Bussy Boss.
Woo.
First of all, let's talk about the symbolism of getting pegged.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. So, there's that direct role reversal of phallus penetration and uh, the contrast between women, usually being receptive and kind of being seen as uh, weaker, more vulnerable, not in that quote unquote power position, and the man, of course, being taken down and put into a feminine, submissive, receptive position. So there is that interesting thing. Like, what is it about the act of being penetrated that seems so um, degrading to us, or so hello, uh, so potently anti-egoistic? That makes sense. Why? Why is it that we attach such things to penetration? We have holes and they are pleasure centers. Why would we discriminate against one form of pleasure in specific? Like, why is that seen as a disruption of the natural flow of things or whatever? When, when men have pleasure centers in there too, it's like we were designed for this. But the symbolism of like the assumption of the phallus, and if you think about it back in, ancient art, you saw these fertility figures with, what were called hermaphroditic or intersex, but you would see these fertility figures with all genitalia in one place. And those were exceptionally powerful totems. And, so this is as old as humans to be equipped with the ability to imagine and empathize and have experiences like this. But it's this particularly patriarchal attitude about what should go where, and who is having what done to them, and what kind of stuff that says about them. And you see this a lot more prevalently, of course, in more thoroughly patriarchal, more religiously restricted societies, where it's gay if you're getting penetrated, and that's a shameful thing. And but for the guy who's topping another guy, it's not the same attitude applied to him. It's this, like, if you're in that feminine position. So why is it so, it comes down to, like, why is it seen as degrading to be feminine, to be female, to be, on the receiving end? And well, that's pretty, I think we kind of had the answer there, basically. Like I just said, there's a lot of sexism and patriarchy and so on. I mean, I'm tempted to say that maybe there's some kind of, maybe some ancient caveman, it's easier to just pull out when the saber-toothed tiger, I know this is not very, historically correct, but like maybe it's easier to just pull out and run than to get up off your back or something. Like, it's like,
I would like to welcome Mistress Sophie from the UK. She joined us here. We are talking about pegging. We are here with Mistress Claudia
hello,
and
Mr. Sophie.
Valentina. We're talking about the symbolisms of pegging, and let's just get cheeky. All right, I'm going to go around the room. What's the funniest, most memorable moment when you had with a client or just someone related to the topic of anal play? Let's go with Mistress Claudia. The funniest or most memorable moment that you had with somebody. It doesn't have to be a client, it's somebody, and the topic of anal play. You there?
Who? Did you want me to go?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You kind of clicked out for a moment.
Oh, no worries.
I'm not sure what the funniest moment was.
Or most memorable.
I guess, well, the most memorable moment was, this is super, like, kind of messed up, but my friend that I have been friends with since first grade, basically, I was always friends with him. We were never intimate, whatever, although I did have a crush on him, but I pegged him. And it was
I love how you said that.
Extremely interesting experience, because we really didn't connect in any sexual way, and he mentioned that he kind of liked anal stuff, and I'm like, oh really? Well, guess what? So that was probably the most memorable. And yeah, and now we're, he's on the East Coast and I'm in Arizona, but he still reaches out because, we had a connection, and I never knew it would evolve into a connection like that. But
you left an impression on it.
Yeah. Coming from a very strict, we both went to Catholic school together. So coming from a very strict Catholic upbringing, both of us, I think the taboo of, anything like that, and getting pleasure from something that's considered, taboo in our upbringing, kind of brought a lot of excitement, and it left a lasting impression. Is right. Yeah.
You
Mistress
digmatized
Sophie?
him.
Yes, Mistress
I-
Sophie. What any memorable or the funniest or most memorable moments you've had with a client or a partner regarding anal play?
I always remember my mother. I always remember one of my first clients I actually had, and he said to me he could take a 6-inch dildo or something like that, right? And it was only when he was actually there, and he saw it, and he probably freaked out because he was like, "Oh my god, that is no way going in my ass." And I was just like, "Well, you said you could take 6 inches. This is 6 inches." And at that point, he was like, "Oh, it looked a lot smaller." And I was like, no, it's bigger. Not smaller, bigger. And yeah, the penny dropped at that point, and he just thought, "Oh, I kind of messed up here." So yeah, that was my most funniest, definitely.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have Domme Danielle with us as well. Hi, Domme Danielle. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you guys?
Good.
You came in
Mhm.
at the most wildest time. We're talking about the funniest, the most memorable moment you had with a client or a partner related to the topic of anal play.
Okay. Did everybody
What is
go or not yet?
It's your turn now.
Oh shoot! Shit. Come back in like 30 seconds. I gotta think.
I-
About
No worries, no
Oh
worries.
no!
Anna.
Okay, I got one.
Oh, you do?
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, probably the most interesting was having my arm up to my shoulder in someone's anal cavity. That was pretty interesting. Hold on,
Oh my
guys, watch
God.
plums. Yeah, it was really weird. And kind of scary because I was kind of worried about hemorrhaging, but he insisted that it was not his first time, and it's okay. So, yeah, he brought his own gloves.
God bless. Oh.
Yeah.
That's a quote. He brought his own gloves.
Yeah.
They were long.
Yeah. Yeah, they gotta be.
Oh, and I will say I texted and my friend while I was doing it.
Oh.
Wait, was the phone inside?
No. No. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So
Anna
Oh,
Valentina,
that's too good.
I was saving you for the last. The Bussy Boss is Anna Valentina, for those who have to ask.
I'm always
you're
I'm always the chattiest anyway. I always have
Yeah.
the longest.
So what's the funniest
responses.
or most memorable moment you've had with a client or partner that's related to the topic of anal play?
Okay, so I'll go with the most memorable one first. I have two examples. So the most memorable one was when I was shooting for Lisa Berlin for her Window Girl site. And she's this German dom who specializes in extreme strap-ons and fisting content. I've had some wild times with her. And so one time we were shooting in Vegas, and and we got this guy from LA who's an experienced sub and a really great guy, knew how to prep and everything. And we were doing this shoot, and it was 2 hours into the shoot, and he's just having a great time. And we broke for a second, and I said, how many anal orgasms have you had by now in this shoot? He goes, oh, I don't know, I lost count at 30. And I was like, oh, all right. We shot for another 2 hours after that. And at one point, I have this plug that's literally about this big around. It's so big that I have to spin it in my hand to lube it because I can't just, grab it. And he's on his hands and knees on the floor with his ass facing me. And I it's just like that last little bit of the plug. And so I got a little theatrical, and I'm just like stomping into his ass. I'm like, I'm gonna stomp fuck you. I was very proud of that moment. It's like, you don't get to do that every day. So it was extremely satisfying that he had so much pleasure. I want to like hold him up as the standard for like, dudes, you can achieve this. If the will is the way, you can do this, you can get there. Goals. But the funniest moment I think I've ever had, was not actually doing anal play on somebody, but I was in Boston, and I had this one dude who was really he wanted to kind of go for it. So I was like, all right. So I tied his balls to like the overhead winch and stuffed ice cubes up his ass. And so he's like screaming and hollering and whatever. And so my next client is waiting in the waiting room, right? And so he heard like the last little bit of the session or something. And so after my session is over and I go to get, he's getting dressed or something, I go to greet my next client. And I was like, so, what are you into and all that? He goes, not that. He wanted anal play, but he was just like, I don't know what you were doing in there, but just not that. Sincerity on his face was just priceless. I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And inside it was like, yeah.
So I fed in some questions. What's interesting is I find AI interesting in the fact of it thinks that that's what they think humans are like or human wants. I plug in questions into AI thinking like we're personalities, and I put your names in there too. And see, data in, data out. It's how databases work, right? This is a question they put out, and it's a good question actually. What's a myth about anal exploration that you wish people would stop believing, or how do you help clients navigate past it? Who wants to answer that first?
I can.
Okay.
Okay. So, what is a myth? A myth is that during anal play, it's nice and clean, and there's no poop anywhere, and poop doesn't fall out, and poop doesn't get everywhere. But guess what? It does. And the biggest myth is that you should do an enema right before you're going to have an anal session. That makes it a shit ton worse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Becomes
emphasis on the wording shit ton.
Shit ton. Yeah, so I think people, need to understand that, there's no, when people, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. Well, don't worry about it. I'm used to poop. It's not a big deal, I mean, everyone poops. And when you're sticking stuff up where poop comes out, it's going to come out. It is what it is, So that's
thank
my
you
biggest
for
myth is that there's no
bringing
poop
us all.
Yep.
Anyone else like to expand
as it were?
The myth. What myths of anal exploration that people would stop believing?
I'll pop in for a second.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts to that people dudes' eyes are always bigger than their holes, so I totally sympathize with you, Sophie. And like the whole, it's not going to take any prep, or whatever, or that it's okay for it to hurt, like, it's going to hurt, or it's normal for it to hurt, or something like that. And it's like, you guys, no matter who you're playing with, I'm like, prep, like, ease into it, listen to your body and whatever. It should not fucking hurt. It's a fantasy. Blah, blah, blah. If you're doing painal, go for whatever, but make sure you're being safe about. If you want it to be like a kind of stretchy or a little bit deep or something like that, where you want that kind of whatever, but use a lot. There's never such a thing as like, well, I suppose there could be too much lube, but there's usually not enough lube, and just go slower. Do not fucking try to just like, you will end up with tears, and you will end up with, an unpleasant, less pleasant than you would think. Okay. You're like, oh, like people who are like, oh, I want it to, no, that's not as pleasant as you think. And it should not hurt.
Mm.
It just really shouldn't. So I don't want people to know that, and encourage people, that'll encourage people too, to like, oh, it's going to hurt. No, not if you're doing it right. So
Domme Danielle, any myths about people exploring anal play that you'd like to dead right now?
I would just second that it has to hurt, or that it should hurt. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that you have to be clean. And we care if you're clean. It's cool, but I mean,
Yeah, we don't want to be like grinding fecal matter into place, but that's but that's
unless that's the request.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. But that's different from being like, oh, it's so pristine, and you get so embarrassed if there's like a streak on the dildo. That's what shit happens.
Yeah.
Shit literally happens.
Literally.
Yeah, it's just poop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to admit, the first time I saw, let's say, the remnants of it on something else, it took me back. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. All right, I guess I'm officially a kinky person. All right, I mean, yeah. So it is what it is. Okay, this is a creative show, right? This is a creative show. Let's create a guide. If we are going to design a beginner's guide for men curious about exploring this parts of themselves, right? You ladies, you explore this part of men more than they do.
Yeah.
Right? So what's the first piece of advice you would give? You're going to create this guide for them, and we'll go around the room. We'll start off with Sophie. What's the first piece of advice you would give in your guide for men?
Sophie.
I was,
Yeah.
Sophie. Sorry, it does cut out.
There is a bit of a delay. So I
no
probably should have said.
Okay.
So
the first piece of advice I'd probably say is I'd be like, don't sort of underestimate sizes. It's like I said a second ago. Because obviously I've had guys come in before and they've been able to say, oh yeah, I can take like that kind of size. And when they look at it, it's like that kind of size. And they kind of just freak out. So I always say it's like start small, work big.
It's funny that you say that, because I have the quote for the day, and it's from Anna, and it's, dudes' eyes are always bigger than their holes. Domme Danielle, if you're going to design a beginner's guide for men curious about exploring themselves, what's the first piece of advice you'd give?
Definitely start small, and don't understand that your body is capable of a lot more than you think it is if you start small and work your way up, just leave your expectations at the door, really. And also don't expect your dick to be hard as it's happening. And that's because sometimes it's not, and sometimes that makes people really embarrassed or whatever. And I want to go back to the biggest myth I totally forgot. Like, one thing people say to me, sorry, that's my bird, often is when they're requesting this is they have some sort of like homophobic, or they have to tell me that they're not gay, right? And I'm like, just that's not even part of it, right? Like,
as you pet them in the ass, they have to tell you that they're not gay.
Yeah.
You've seen pictures in your head now, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be open. Just be open.
Be open. Okay. Mistress Claudia, if you were going to write a beginner's guide for men.
Make sure that whoever you're exploring anal with is experienced. And the reason why is because you can seriously get injured if you're playing with someone that doesn't safely explore anal with you. I think, you know, a lot of guys watch a lot of porn and see a lot of anal scenes that are pretty gruesome, and think that they're going to come and just, you know, get basically, you know, in better sense, violated like they've seen on TV. And, you know, there's a lot of sensitivity and a lot of danger if you do any type of anal play, you know, too rough. So make sure that whoever you're going to explore that with knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And a Valentina for men. Keep in mind, this is a beginner's guide for men, so you
Okay.
have to like use small words and speak slowly. You know, so
Right.
if you were going to sign a beginner's guide for men curious about exploring, you know, this part of themselves, what's the first piece
So
of advice
yeah,
you
first
give?
of all, I'll piggyback off of Danielle's and other people's recommendations about starting slow. And like I previously mentioned about the myth of, you know, yeah, like you said, Claudia, like, oh, you see something in porn and you expect it to be like that. What you're not seeing is the 2 hours of foreplay and, you know, gradual stretching and, you know, careful, you know, opening up and, you know, getting deeper and stuff like that. You don't see that. So it's just like, oh, you know, whatever. Also about the like, oh, does pegging make me gay? Does having my pussy eaten make me gay? You know, like the form of I mean, it is if it's with a woman, yeah, sure. You know, if you're getting, you know, whatever.
Tell that to Tony Soprano.
Oh,
There's a whole
right.
thing about eating pussy and being gay in the mob. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
What's his name who got outed for eating his girlfriend's pussy and he was so ashamed of it and blah 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 blah.
yeah.
I would say for men who are just starting out, the beginner's guide, play with your body, play with your ass in a relaxed way. When you're in the shower, not soap on your hands, but when you're in the shower and you're washing your ass, press on your button a little bit. Press on your sphincter, gently massage it. You know, it's a nice clean area in the shower and whatever. And, you know, unless you have digestive problems, you're probably not going to shit on your hand. But, you know, press on it, get a little bit in there. Now, water's not a great lubricant. I hate when people are like, shower sex. No, it washes away everything. But you can play with your asshole. You can lie in bed and relax and, I don't know, put on some soft music, romance yourself, whatever. But start playing with your ass. Start small, basically. Get your, you know, make sure make sure your nails are trimmed. If I would advise gloves, but you know, make sure your nails are trimmed and whatever. And just start exploring what feels good. Find that P spot. Find what angles are good. You know, feel what it feels like to get something up there, and take it slow. Like, you know, if it starts to feel too tender or whatever, stop. You can always come back later. You know, you have all the time in the world, you know, and if you don't have all the time in the world, you got a hot date that night, maybe you should maybe rethink your scheduling, okay? Because this is not going to happen in like 5 minutes. So I think body awareness is, and you know, maybe that's part of why guys are fascinated with butt play, because it is a unique kind of body awareness that I don't think men really get taught a lot. So I think there's something resonant about that. And, you know, so yeah, do some of that work on your own so that this advice is given to women all the time about if you want to have good orgasms, learn what, you know, gets you off and then share that with your partner and stuff. This is the same thing with dudes. You know, if you're recentering your orgasmic response, you might have a little research to do. So do it.
Now, Anna,
Yes.
Mistress Anna Valentina, if you're going to write this guide for women, how would it be different?
For women doing anal play?
Any kind of anal play.
Any kind of anal play. Okay. Like receiving or giving?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay. All right. Okay.
I think it starts off with the vibe, the overall outlook of the situation, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if same kind of thing if you're receiving anal play, same thing, go slow. You know, take your time, lots of lube. For women, you do have more of the chance of like the P spot is not, the same basically. So you can press up through the wall and hit the G spot through the wall of the vaginal canal that separates it from the rectum. So that's something fun. You see a lot of, actually, this is something I should probably mention. You see a lot of like when you see pegging or anal or something, the recipient is on all fours. And I actually recommend that you do it like missionary with the recipient facing up. A, you can see their reactions. B, it allows a lot more relaxation. And C, it really allows for that upward angle so you can get those curves and that spot, and you can massage it much better. And a lot of strap-ons and cocks are more upward angle to begin with, so you're not going to be hitting and scraping that back wall of the rectum as much. And when women are giving anal play, again, watch your nails. Gloves are great for but again, go slow. Find those curves of the body. Again, this is like if he's lying on his back facing up, it tends to be the curve goes to the left. So sometimes I use my left hand for this because but it kind of goes to the left and then hooks back in. So just let the body guide you. Follow, everybody's curves are different. Let the body guide you. Don't be afraid to kind of rotate your fingers, get around in there, and just explore. I think one of the biggest things for people who are just starting out is they try to just kind of force it in, or like all they see in porn is like just straight in and out, when it's much more like kind of, okay, we're going to go this way. And then as it opens up more, then it kind of opens more into a straight tube, if you will. And just be sensitive to that and watch his eyes roll back in pleasure as you're doing it, hopefully, and that sort of thing. It can be so sexy and so powerful. And, especially like if you get a nice tight harness, get a great harness, get one that really holds it against your body. And you can come that way because it transmits all of that sensation and it's just super, super exciting. So yeah, relax, have fun with it. Don't be afraid to explore and be sensitive, and you'll have an amazing time.
A friend of mine, I don't want to mention any names, I don't want to call anyone out, but friend of the show, says that she enjoys anal when she is on her back and uses a vibrator on her clit. Any thoughts on that?
Me?
How can when, because men want to please women, so when they are having anal sex, right?
Yeah.
What is most pleasurable for women?
Definitely that hitting the G spot through the canal wall is really great. But also like I find that people often respond more to feelings of fullness and stretching rather than like a kind of deep, sharp, stabby sensation. And that's not true for everybody, but yeah, a lot of people feel like they want to feel more of that stretching. And yeah, the vibrator on the clit along with the anal penetration is like, yeah, that's a really surefire way. That's another reason though for being on your back is if you're doing like that, missionary position and you lean forward, then you're providing that pressure on her clit. And it's kind of almost like replicating, like the body, I think, is kind of more used to that sort of thing. And you can connect all those nerves. That's kind of the what I'm going for here is when you connect all those nerves, you get the possibility of absolute fireworks. It's the body is recognizing the connection and the pressure as like, oh, okay, yeah, we've got all these clitoral nerves that are in here and whatever. We know what to do with this, So, yeah, so that's my take on that it's a very, the more you can connect everything together, men or women, anatomy, and the more you can connect it together, the more likely you are to have an intense sensory experience.
I mean, I have to admit, introducing butt plugs into sex takes to a whole nother level, especially like with penetration. If I have I do dom out sometimes, so I do. So I'm a switch. So like having it in there, And so imagine the scene, right? She's on her knees. So I have the butt plug in her, and I'm fucking her from behind. So like, would that really created a whole other as she's a sensualist. I never thought that would make like such a huge deal, but it did. It really truly does make a difference. So I highly recommend butt plugs. And if there's a butt plug maker out there, please, I think you should sponsor all of us. Definitely, especially the Bussy Boss. Come on.
That's right.
Put your money where your mouth is. see how this whole thing is to get us money. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, we are here. We are ready for sponsorship. Hey,
So,
Tantus,
okay.
if you're listening.
This is kind of a fun question because everyone's got a reason. Everyone has a reason, to get pegged or to get So, what's the most unexpected reason someone has given you for being curious about anal play? Is there any stories that like stuck with you? Domme Danielle, any stories about like, I'm not gay, but I'm an actor and I'm playing a role for,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this new play, this role, this new play, and that means you have to peg me and your bitch.
I want to know what a woman feels like. No, that's never happened. Actually, no one's ever said that, but that would be funny. I do like what someone said about the difference in sensation between length and girth, because what I've found is that people either like one or the other usually, and you have to identify which one you like, and don't forget, like for women, don't forget the clit ever, don't be so butt focused that you forget everything else.
Yeah.
It's funny that you said that too. No, not funny, but I'm glad that you said that. When I bought my first strap-on for Lynn, right? I even write about it in the book, The Coolest Way to Kill Yourself. I made sure I got the butterfly. So if she was pegging me, I wanted to make sure that her clit was stimulated. See, I'm a thoughtful bottom, right?
Right. Yeah.
Mistress Claudia, what's the most unexpected reason a client has given you for being curious about anal play?
I think a lot of people get to a point in life that I deal with that just are curious, a lot of them maybe have been married for a very long time, and it's something they're curious about and they just want to try it out, and they obviously end up enjoying it and come back for more. I think that most of the people that I meet with, it's a curiosity factor that unfortunately they feel shameful to introduce to their partner, which is kind of I mean, I'm always kind of taken aback, like, wow, you're with someone and you can't communicate your bodily pleasures or interests that you'd like to try out in your relationship. That's always kind of weird to me. But maybe that's why I'm single.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, it seems, that are a little bit ashamed of even being curious of trying any type of anal play, or if they do present it to a partner, the partner basically belittles them or acts in disgust, which I think is unfortunate. I think especially if you're in a partnership with a person, that flow of energy and openness, maybe that's why there's so many failed relationships,
Yeah.
Mistress Sophie, I'm sure you get some people and they beat around the bush. They give you excuses, reasons. What are the most unexpected reasons someone gives you for wanting to get?
I am trying. Yeah, I am trying to sort of think back to some of my earlier days when I first started, and I think the most bizarre one that I ever had was that some guy had literally said, well, I can't do it with a woman. so I just do it with you instead. So I think it was something along those lines. But I think what they were sort of trying to not be accidentally transphobic.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But,
Right.
and I'm sort of sitting there thinking, like, I really hope you're not suggesting that I'm gonna naked myself downstairs, because I'm not. You know. And yeah, again, that was really the main reason he gave me. It was he just basically said, okay, well, I know I can't have yours, so just give me a strap on and put that in me instead. And I thought, if you'd asked me that first, I would have just kicked you out the door. Yeah.
That is wild.
Anna Valentina, what is? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember when this was. He lost a bet to his wife, and it was playful. You know, he's like, oh, haha, you know, but it was kind of like you know, sort of almost an excuse, basically, you know, to be like, well, I have to do this. And I was like, oh no, I'm sure you're just, you know, just terrified of this. It's just, and he wasn't, you know, it's just a playful thing. But you hear that all the time in like porn stories or something, and you're like, whatever. So yeah, it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like a super serious thing, but yeah. I have to, yeah, that's the only one. Like, I guess that's probably the one that I can think of. I have had people saying like, oh, it's, you know, in a sort of like idealistic way, like, oh, it's only right that I know what it's like to be a woman and get penetration or something. That's not really like the underlying reason. The underlying reason is because they want to, you know, whatever. So all of these are just excuses, basically. So.
I think it's interesting too when, like, I have a client who doesn't do it for pleasure. In fact, he doesn't like it, but it's just the power thing. That's it.
Oh,
you know, it's more of a power thing. I like that.
Yeah, that's hot. Yeah, that's really hot. Yeah.
He doesn't like it, but it's like part of, you know, he knows he has to do it. And then we're getting into like animalistic, you know, acts of dominance.
That goes to the next question. Sissies. A lot of no, seriously, the whole the sissification narrative deals with it. Sometimes I feel it deals with more power than it does with gender necessarily. I mean, of course, it does with gender and clothes and all the stuff like that, but power is the main aspect of it. So is pegging mandatory for all sissies?
Anyone?
This way, I can answer this with just one word: yes. And chastity is mandatory.
That's right.
Any other? Domme Danielle, is pegging mandatory for all sissies?
Well, I mean, I was gonna say no because, like, you know, this boring answer about like consent and stuff like that. But then I heard her answer, and I was like, yeah, I like it. She's like, yes, it is totally. No and yes.
So you have to go around the room, or does anyone have any other questions, answers besides yes for that one?
I would say no. I say no.
Oh, okay, Mistress Claudia, please explain.
I don't think that pegging is mandatory for all sissies, because I think every sissy that I deal with is different. They're not all like across the board the same, and I wouldn't consider pegging something that would be mandatory because I was meeting with a sissy.
Okay, I ask the important questions here. Let's do it. This is a very educational show. What's the best lube for butt play?
Wait, I didn't go.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry, Hannah.
Yeah, I would say generally, yes, they go hand in hand or hand in whatever. I think that yeah, it does kind of depend on the sissy, but I will say that chastity and butt play with sissies, it really does redirect the orgasmic response in a way that
Yes.
is very conducive to sissyhood, you know, and I think that's very valuable. Just the the opening up the, as it were, the that experience. And yeah, so I think it's for psychological reasons. You know, the pegging and the chastity in combination, not necessarily like, oh, it makes it, but the opening up the possibility of the ass being the center or the orgasmic center of pleasure. And when I tell my sissies, is the ideal is that you can come hands free, that you can come from your ass, or from ass play, from ass penetration, from pegging, without touching your clit. That's my ideal
Oh, yeah.
for sissies, for sissy training, is if we can do that, then we're good.
So let's talk about the sissygasm. How does one achieve a sissygasm? Because this is
Practice.
part of the show.
Yeah.
like Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
Do you have clients coming up to you trying to achieve this sissygasm? Is this like a goal for people? Then what do you tell them?
I tell them that practice. I was like, you're gonna have to do a training program, and that means decreasing the amount of attention and time that you give your clit, and emphasizing going more in having your pussy, your bussy, you know, having that be what gives you pleasure. You got to train your body, you got to train your mind, and you know, and the training is also part of fun of it. You know, we're gradually, you know, shifting you, controlling you, teaching you something new. And that in itself is exciting too. So even if you don't really get to that ultimate thing of like being able to just come, you know, from ass play, it is still very like, you know, it's still very mental, it's still very psychological, it's still very controlling and dominant to go through this process. But yeah, very much so, very, very much so. Sissies love to have that idea of just like being locked up and just coming from, if they're allowed to, you know, coming just from the from being fucked. And who doesn't want more orgasms, you know? So
Well, I have to admit it does change. Like if I'm locked and plugged, right, my senses are increased. My other parts of my body, like everything increases, you know. So there's a lot to be said with that. Before we get all serious, let's go best lube for any kind of anal play. What is your recommendations? Best lube. Who the Bussy Boss? What is the best lube? For anal play?
Okay. Yeah. So I tell people, I get this question all the time. And what I tell people is my favorite is the favorite that's like easiest to get is a 50-50 mix of water and silicone. Water-based and silicone, not water, but water-based and silicone. So you get like a good water-based lube, because eventually the water-based lube will kind of start to kind of dry out and it'll get sticky, whatever. And then you have the silicone, which is good and slick and it stays, but you need, for the texture and staying power, I find that that's like kind of the best, easily gettable, you know, combination that is okay with cleanup and stuff. If you're going to do large insertions, you've got a little more experience, large insertions, and you're careful about what it comes in contact with, then something shortening, Crisco's the classic, whatever. Coconut oil, I've heard, is really great. I haven't done a lot with, again, keep in mind if you're using like latex gloves or something like that, and you know, it will stain the hell out of whatever, you know, comes in contact with. I don't know if I've ever used Vaseline. I'm not sure I really, I know silicone's a petroleum byproduct too, but you know, I think there are, you know, if you use something like vegetable based, like Crisco, I feel more comfortable with that. And what was the other? Oh, coconut oil is the other one I mentioned. So like a thick consistency is great. Also, if you can get, once you get it a little spread open, if you can take like a little bit, a dollop of a solid lube like that, and like actually put it inside the cavity, inside your ass, and then it'll melt. So it gets more where it needs to be. I have used J-Lube, which is the veterinarian lube that you can adjust the water. It comes in powder form and you can adjust how much water you mix in. So you can get it really thick, and it's cheap to get a whole bottle of it, and that kind of thing. it doesn't have any preservatives. So you can't just like mix up a whole bunch. You have to mix it up like at the time you're going to use it. But you can get a nice thick blend with that. You can find it at, you know, like say Mr. S or, you know, stores that cater more to gay men used to tend to carry it, or you can just get it from like a vet supply. But yeah, if you're just, you know, cruising through the grocery store and you want to do some ass play that night, you know, those are the ones that I recommend. Like I said, that you can easily find. So
If
try
you're
to
just
go.
cruising through the grocery store, want to do some ass play.
That's actually something I like to weaponize with like dudes who, you know, it's like I'll be like, all right, I'm going to send you up to the register with a cucumber and a thing of Crisco and a copy of Men's Health magazine. Anyway, just to, you know, just
Eddie,
a little embarrassment never hurt anybody.
yeah. Be proud of what you're doing.
It's the Men's Health magazine that makes me really laugh, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm really worried about my heart. Eddie, Mistress Claudia, Mistress Sophie, or Domme Danielle, and any other suggestions about lube?
There's the I got like the little sachets, like the Durex sachets, because the thing I find with the liquid, when it comes in like the little bottles, you sometimes put like too much on, and with the sachet, it comes with just the right amount. So you, like I said, you can tear it open, and then you just empty the contents, and you can use it. And I find that so much easier because, like I said, I literally just put the latex gloves on, tear open the sachet, just rub it all over the gloves, and then I can do whatever I need to do. You know, it's just
portion control.
Absolutely.
I like it. Yeah.
So a lot of my questions are about like obsession with society, taboos, and stuff like that. Here's one. Do you think pop culture or porn has exaggerated or normalized this interest in butt play amongst men? And how? Do you think that's true?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's definitely been an increase in it in the UK.
Okay.
Do you hear that? There's an increase in butt play in the UK. You heard it here on YKF.
Isn't that known as like the English Vice or something? Is what is it? Rogering or what do they call it? They used to call it buggery. Buggery. That's it, right? Buggery is actually on the penal code, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was really weird, you know, because they didn't actually make homosexuality legal in the UK until 1967. You know, and literally for about 100 years, if you were gay, they threw you in jail. It's crazy.
Oscar Wilde.
Yeah. Exactly. Alan Turing was another one.
Poor guy.
And you know, yeah, I think it's ever since homosexuality has been legalized that there's been this massive demand for, you know, rectal insertion. And yeah, just it's definitely one of the most demanding kinks I get. Most.
Yeah. That's interesting with the with it being being legalized. That's really interesting. So suddenly it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. That's neat. I like it. Anal play with that's true.
When I was growing up as a kid, because I'm a 90s kid, you know, when I was growing up in the 90s, you know, there was this massive, like, they called it a gay revolution. And it was like all of a sudden TV was talking about it, radio was talking about it. It was all in the magazines. And it just,
Gay is the new black.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
That's right. Do you think maybe it had something to do with guys being like, well, they seem like they're having a hell of a lot of fun? Right? I think there's something to be said for that. It's like, oh man, those guys seem really, really happy and, gay. And it's just like, oh, well, they seem to, and that's real. Oh God, that's really fun. I wonder too, I think, and this is something I get a lot in my practice, is guys just being tired of being in, having to do all the work, basically, and it's like, oh, I want to be taken care of and whatever, and that kind of thing. And it so kind of goes with that experience where, that's another thing about like the subversion of the status quo, is just that the guy's supposed to know how to do everything, and he's the one who's the doer, and so he's got to be like thinking and doing all the time and whatever, and he sees other people like relaxing and enjoying, and yeah, I can totally see that. I can totally see that experience. And yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, you see pegging. Hell, what is it called? Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds.
Deadpool.
Super, hunky, like every dude wants to, look like him and have his money and whatever. Anyway, and was it the first Deadpool? First Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Huh?
There's a pegging scene in the montage in like the first 10 minutes of Deadpool. Deadpool's getting pegged.
Yeah, he's like, he and his girlfriend, or Wade, or, when he meets his girlfriend, and they're going through the holidays, and she's like, "Happy International Women's Day," and she fucking just, and he's like,
she
"No,"
straps on.
Yep, and I'm like, oh, how many dudes are watching this and being like, holy shit, I want Marina Baccarin to fuck the shit out of me, right?
So we have a question here. How much of this obsession do you think comes from societal taboos around anal play? And how much do you see it? How much do you see your role as a dominatrix as helping clients break this stigma? So, in other words, how much is society to blame for them wanting to come to you to get pegged?
A lot.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot. Yeah.
Domme Danielle, do you care to expand on this? Do you think it comes from societal taboos?
Yeah. I mean, I think even if I think about my own experience, when I tell myself I can't have something, I just like want it more, right? Or have, right? Like what we don't allow, what you resist persists. All those cliche things. Some of my best clients were Christians, honestly, are Christians.
Ooh, yeah. Oh,
amen.
Oh,
let's talk about the Christianity aspect of butt play.
Oh, I would love to do it in a church.
Okay.
And before we begin, Mistress Claudia, I still think it's a great idea that if you could interview me in your nun outfit and see as, I can go to heaven or not. I think that'd make a great show. Possibly my final show. That'd be funny. That'd be great.
But you would go to heaven.
Oh, thank you.
We're all going to heaven if we believe in heaven. Because
thank you.
In a way, all of these taboos and shame and things that people are programmed to believe, it really holds people back. They can't evolve into their free self, and I think that in a way we are, I always say, like, maybe like a dark therapist in a way, like we're helping people realize that they're normal. It's normal. These urges and these, these sort of taboo obsessions that they want to experience. Everyone has one, whether it's, some are illegal and non-consensual and should not be acted upon.
Right.
But, a guy's pleasure zone is up there. What's wrong with that? And it, to each their own. And I think that there's that level of comfort where people feel that they can trust us with these urges that they'd like to experience, and that's how we develop our bond with our clients, is that they experience and they could be free with us, where in their real life it's different. They can't be that way. And so we'll all go to heaven, Nick. We will.
No. Oh, thank you.
You're gonna send them there.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounded like sinister too. All right, so I was watching this Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie called Don John yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about it. It's about a guy who's addicted to porn. This guy, and it's also how porn changed people, relationships, and this is the butt show. So we're talking about do you think pop culture or porn has exaggerated or normalized this interest in butt play in men? I want to take this a step further though, right? Has it made it better or worse for sex work?
Better. I think anything that exposes it in any way. I mean, when I started, there was no exposure, and it was, people would talk about BDSM and hushed tones and so I'm like, I'll take any exposure, good or bad. I think it's good. I mean, not all of it's accurate, right? And that's fine, but I'll take anything. I think I was desperate for exposure.
Great attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I remember several years ago, I was pretty surprised by this. I happened to be watching a porn clip. No, but I mean,
just fell into your stream.
Yeah, just happened. We're just innocently looking for cake recipes. And
kink recipes. I thought you said cake recipes.
Then he got
either.
Cake. Yeah.
Look up kink recipes. You'll be
you'd be surprised. But it was a mainstream porn movie, just very hetero, and very just like I don't know who the studio was, but it wasn't like an indie alternative kind of whatever. It was like a very
Not like Crash Pad.
Yeah. Oh, Crash Pad. Oh my God. Right. So it was not Crash Pad, and it had a dude and a girl, and she he's like sitting on the couch, and she put his legs up and rimmed him, like just got her face right in there. I was like, whoa, the streets are catching on. Oh, okay. This is like I said, mainstream thing. These were not, alt models. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't expect to, and now you see it more. You see sexy pictures of girls wearing strap-ons and harnesses and stuff. So there is that projection of you can do this sexy thing with women. Speaking of the Christian thing though, there was a guy here, not a client, somebody went on a couple of dates with, which I thought was so bizarre, because we could not be more opposite in a lot of ways. And he's this het cis white Christian dude, and he could not stop asking me to play with his butt. Couldn't get out. It's like, we're trying to we're in bed, we're getting to explore each other, and he just could not stop. Like, hey, can you play with my ass? I was like, all right, let me get to it in a second. Damn. And then when I did, I'm serious, I could barely get the first, his ass started to literally shut off the blood supply to my finger. He was that tight assed. And I was like, first of all, I've never seen anybody who needs their ass played with more. Oh my God. And there was this, it was an extra kick for me. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to fuck this fucking super conservative dude in the ass.
Now, did he know what you do for a living? Did he know?
Oh yeah. Oh
okay,
yeah. No,
okay.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He knew what I was about. And I showed up for our first date all gothed out, and I was very open about, what I do. And like I said, I'm just like, why are you here? But then the hilarious part is, so we went on a couple of days. This is kind of during pandemic. And And then I gotten like occasional messages from him. The last message I got was like a few months on Instagram of this year. And so I haven't seen him or talked to him in like 4 years. And he's like, I still think about you and I'd still want to go on a date. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that, dude. Just like, yeah. But it was, yeah, I felt for the guy. Huh?
What if he's watching the show and he reached out to me? And he's
wonder,
like, I want a
wonder
second
about
chance
that.
with Anna.
I know, right? He'll be like, oh, hey now.
I'm known for making peace.
There's this Domme in, I think, Ohio, and her name is Miranda Ryder, and I used to follow her on Twitter. I don't really use Twitter anymore, but she has a great sense of humor. And one time she posted, she said, a fun thing I like to do when I'm pegging is like when I go in, she's like, I like to lean over and say, you can't go to heaven now, right? And I'm like, yeah, do it. Yes.
That's a great topic.
Right.
Fun things to say when someone. All right, I just opened up a new thing. Fun things to say when pegging someone. You got them either on their hands and knees, you got them on their back or something like that. You have the strap on you. You're in power now. They're vulnerable. You could say anything, and they're gonna remember this moment. They're gonna remember what you say. You put your head close enough to their ear so they could hear. Let's go around the room. What do you say, Miztress Claudia? What do you say?
Oh goodness, I can't answer that because when I'm in that moment, I just say a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of the things you say?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know. I guess it depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
It usually, well, this is, you came here for a reason, or, this is why you're here, or, like, no, the game. So just stuff like that. I mean, of course you're like, ooh, about being a slut and this and whatever, all that stuff. But I don't know. I guess it's just in the moment when things just start spitting out of my hole. Because normally I'm pretty quiet. And, I guess it's all about the dynamic of the situation.
Yep.
It's not like one phrase fits all,
Oh,
Right.
yeah, totally. Domme Danielle, any certain things that
I
you say
say,
to someone?
do you remember what you had for dinner last night? No, I don't. I don't like to talk either. I like to get into a rhythm or a dance. And sometimes I remember I have to talk because, like, that's sexy or something. And, like, Miztress Claudia, all the cliche things like slut or whatever. One thing I like to say before is that, no one's ever going to fuck you like this again. I mean, I will fuck you better than anybody ever will.
Woof.
True.
I like to say that to women, though, more than...
Yeah, I'm like,
I
just twitched.
Like... And I don't even have a lot of sex, so I don't know. Whatever.
Mistress Sophie, any fun things to say before pegging someone? Before or during pegging someone?
Okay, I did use a really good one once. I've actually got two. The first one I did was I took inspiration from the Star Wars universe. So as I'm inserting, I'm just going, the Force is strong with this one. The other one, I remember watching an episode of the A-Team, and literally as I'm putting the dildo, I'm just going, dan, da, da, dan. Literally, Hannibal Smith is out. I love it when a plan comes together.
Oh my god, yeah. That's awesome.
Anna, Valentina, fun things to say while pegging someone.
That's good.
Oh, I forgot. The laughing fit. I forgot the laughing fit last week.
That's right.
Last week we went on. This went on for a long time,
Crack up.
and I totally controlled this too, and I made it happen over and over again. So I just made them laugh
Oh
over
my
and over
God,
again.
we have fun.
But okay, fun things to say when pegging someone. What do you think?
So yeah, I will agree with everyone else. It's highly contextual. One thing I'll say, yeah, very individual energy. If it's like kind of more sensual and passionate and loving or something versus kind of more like dominating and kind of humiliating and that kind of thing. So if it's something that's more about that, like power exchange, humiliation, like hot takedown kind of atmosphere, then yeah, I'll be like, I'll use more of like the, oh, lean into it, bitch, push that ass back. And, sometimes I'll like hold still and be like, all right, show me how much you want this fuck. Go ahead. That kind of thing. But I also too like using terms like bitch and slut and so on. I'm not gonna like do that as much with somebody who has more of the like if they really have a good connection with their feminine energy and stuff, then yeah, I'll lean on into that. But if they don't, then I don't want to necessarily emphasize that that this is something that happens to women and that necessarily that makes him like puts him in that place or makes him a woman if he's not already like has a healthy connection to that. There's positive shame, and then there's just kind of like reinforcing whatever bullshit's in his head. But if it's like more of a sensual thing, oh, I love this. This is another reason why like I want him like facing me, because then I like to get in and just have that like sensual power and just be. I like to say, look me in the eyes. Look me in the eyes. I want to see it. I want to be like up close. Like you can't escape from this. And, just be kind of like a, sexy, firm, controlling top with really, I really like to force encourage / force someone to really connect in that moment. Like, say like, how does it, how's that feel like deep in your guts and rearranging your guts and, that kind of thing. Just really like emphasizing, making them give me feedback, making them, respond
Totally.
not just with their body, and like, I love that moment when you're going in and it hits the prostate and you always see this reaction, like, the eyes widen a bit when it's like, oh shit. And I'm like, yeah, I feel that. And the great thing about the prostate too is like, if you're doing it with your finger, it feels like a brain. It literally feels like a brain, right? You got and then it swells and you got that that valley right in the middle. And I'm like, oh, here's your ass brain. it's just, so, yeah. And again, like we know so much more about their physiology than they do. So I like that too, to kind of, it's like a science lesson and also like a mind fuckery at the same time. They'll be like, yeah, you feel how deep I am in and blah, blah, blah. Well, now this is what's happening. And, so it's like the Incredible Voyage or something, but with my dick.
Here is your ass brain. I thought that could be a quote too. So
here's your ass brain. Yep.
All right. We're winding
and I'm short circuiting it.
We're winding things down. But I have one last question.
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna start with Mistress Claudia. If you were gonna give a TED talk on why the world is so curious about butt play and the benefits and even the danger of it as well. If you're going to give a TED talk about butt play, what's the one takeaway you want the audience to leave with, Mistress Claudia?
Partially what I said earlier. One aspect is, life is short. If you feel like you want to try it out or you enjoy it, you're not the only one. It's not a big deal, especially when you're going to people where we do this all the time. And secondly, make sure to go to someone who is safe about it, because you can get injured. I personally know someone that was seriously injured by a Dom, and they have a colostomy bag. And it was through anal play where she was not very careful and
Oh.
the hospital. And
Oh.
you know, it does happen, and that's why, you know, they may see, I mean, the most amazing porns I ever saw were at a male gay club where there was a fundraiser for the sex workers of Phoenix at this place in Phoenix. It was, and I was mesmerized watching they had big, huge screen TVs with, you know, BDSM male porn on it. And I'm like, damn, this is incredible. So I can see why people are fascinated and would be interested in trying it. But you're not going to get like a whole fist up to, you know, the shoulder up there immediately. All of that is gradual, and you really have to communicate well with whoever you're playing with, because you are in a very sensitive area in your body and you can seriously injure yourself. So you know, take it slow.
Domme Danielle, if you're going to give a TED talk about butt play, what's the biggest takeaway?
It's not only for pooping. That's it.
That's a quote too.
Yep, that's all.
You're a poet. It's great.
I am a poet, a woman of many
I
words.
love it.
Mistress Sophie, what's your TED talk?
I think mine would be if your name is E.T., go home. I think it's really interesting because someone actually made a joke with me one day, and they sort of turned to me and they, instead of saying phone home, they just gone, E.T. want anal. And I just thought, yeah, if I did a TED talk, it would definitely be something to the effect of, if there are any extraterrestrials in this room, please vacate the vicinity now.
But that would be the perfect revenge.
You think Spielberg would sponsor it?
Yeah.
He probably would.
Now I'm thinking you gotta have like molded rubber gloves with like you gotta have ET hands. Bonus if there's like an LED bit built in or something. Ow! Ow.
And Valentina, if you were going to give a TED talk on why the world is so curious about butt play, you're the Bussy Boss. I come to well, I got a big crowd. You know me, I can get a big crowd. Yeah, there's the big TED, the big red TED behind you.
Oh my God.
What's the one takeaway people have?
Relax is just fun. It's okay to feel good. It's okay to feel that pleasure. Just relax, you know? It doesn't have to mean anything. Just relax. Enjoy it. It's okay. It's okay if you enjoy it. It's perfectly okay if you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, fine, whatever, do something else. But it's if you enjoy it, just enjoy it, man. You can decide later what the hell it means to you and your role in society or whatever the fuck, you know? Be in the moment, and you know, and that's what you're there for. And you know exactly, like you said, like you know what you came here for. And you know, so do it. And yeah, don't judge yourself. Don't judge somebody else. You know, nothing good is going to come of that when you're trying to get down and have a little fun. You know, like just leave that shit at the door, and you know, and it's good. And it'll, you know, if you do it in an open and accepting way, you might learn something. You might really learn something, and that something can really open you up to a good time in life. And you know, good surprises can come from a little experimentation. Yeah.
Wonderful sentiment. And Mr. Shari, I asked Mr. Shari about, you know, to come on. She's watching the Tonys. Shout out to everybody watching the Tonys. She basically said people fear, men basically fear it because they cannot find it. And if they do, they'll fear what they will find. That's interesting. Why are people so obsessed? I'd like to end it basically saying it's your body, whether you're whatever you identify as. Your butt is your body, right? It's beautiful. It's your body. You have to know your own body to know yourself. In
Oh
order for other
yeah.
people to know you, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So
You
feel
know,
is
the
mind
fullest
killer.
we were saying earlier about you have this one life, or Mistress Sway, I think, was saying that, you have this one life, you have this one go around, and so on. And I love to say that we are granted the privilege of having nerves from the top of our heads down to the tips of our toes. It is your right as a human being, as a person, as a pleasure creature, that every part of you can feel, and it can feel
Yeah.
good. So why rob yourself of the possibility? Why rob yourself? I saw this comments popping up. Why rob yourself of the possibility of oh, thank you, of feeling good, of feeling the fullest pleasure that you can. Like that's a benefit. Wouldn't you want to feel more pleasure? So go ahead and try it, man. That is your human right. Seriously, go and explore your human right as somebody who can have pleasure from the tops of their bodies down. That's what we're given to do it.
We are the kinky Avengers, the prophets to the guides for you, so to speak. So let's go around and promote each other. Mistress Sophie, how can people get in touch with you? How can people connect with you? Yo.
Yeah, well, my two best ways is via my platforms. I'm on X, Twitter, I should say. It's m_Sophie93, numbers 93. And my website is www.mistresssophieofhertfordshire.co.uk.
Domme Danielle, how can people get in touch with you and support you, everything you do?
My website, dommedanielle.com or kinkencounters.com.
Kink Encounters. And of course, Mistress Claudia out in Arizona. Please, how can people get in touch with you and support everything you do?
My website has all of my information. It's listed as my name. It's Mistress with a Z, Claudia.com. And I only did the Z because there's another website of Mistress Claudia with the S.com, and it's an artist. So I didn't want to mix the two because she might get some weird emails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're an artist, Mistress Claudia. You are.
Well, I suppose.
Anna Valentina, how can people get in touch with you, the Bussy Boss?
That's funny what you said about the artist, because there's an architect in San Francisco, Anna Valentina Merch, and I can only imagine the emails that she must get sometimes. Poor woman. But yeah, so my website is just my name, annavalentina.com. You can look at my socials. I think Instagram is Ms. Anna Valentina, and then Twitter is Anna Valentina. I don't really use the socials much anymore, but yeah, website is a direct way to get to me. And also, there's a British porn star who's like a what do you call it, Gilf or something, and she's like tan and has tattoos and blonde, and her name is also Anna Valentina. Yeah, not me. Do I look tan? No, so not me. But oh, Domme Danielle, by the way, where are you located?
I'm in Denver, Colorado, USA.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. I'm just like, I gotta ask you later about like how you got up to the shoulder, because that's like goals for me. Okay. So I'm like, ooh.
Anatomy lesson.
Right on.
He walked me through it, honestly. It was he walked me through it. I was not the expert there, but
sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, I can imagine he must have. I mean, you got to build up to that kind of thing, but I'm so curious. Yeah. Farthest I've gotten up is like here. So yeah, I would like to get past the elbow. I'd like to get bicep. Yeah. So
goals.
Goals. Exactly. Goals.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I have a surprise for all of you. Next week, we have a special show and a special guest. We're going to talk about de-escalating things, how to de-escalate things. It happens even in the with the greatest people, with the most wonderful people, in scenes, in dungeons, in munches, in everyday life. How do you de-escalate things? Catnip from Mischief Manor, my very, very good friend. Catnip helps run Mischief Manor. You're gonna love Catnip, legend. And if you
He'll
love
make
Broadway
catnip
plays,
tools.
you will, you'll get along. Hopefully everything works out. Anything can happen in this show. Things, come and go. But that's what we got on. That's what we're hoping for. In the meantime, read a book. Your kinky friend. The coolest way to kill yourself. Get at me about the art project. I'm talking with so many people, so many things. We have poetry, art, music, sculpting, you name it. Get at me. Kink,
Cool.
everybody.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
Yes. I'm gonna have a big announcement, and it's gonna be. I can't wait. I'm working on it.
Well, now I'm thinking we could do the whole ghost thing and just sculpt things on camera.
Yes.
Sculpt.
Right on. Let's do it. Let's do it. Come on, I'll be your Patrick Swayze. Come on.
There we go. That's a quote right there.
But wait. Does that mean I'm gonna die?
But you'd go to heaven.
Thank you. Like I said before, this is a culture. Yeah. Watch your ass, everybody. This is the Butt Show. But please, thank you. Thank a kinky person. Seriously, thank a kinky person. I know you haven't talked to a kinky friend out there. Reach out to them. Seriously, kink helps kink, everybody. It's going to be a great week. Be cool. Be kind. Keep an open mind. I love all of you. Take care.
Love you too.